Hello, brothers and sisters, followers, friends, and family. Today is Wednesday, August the 26th, and today's topic is forgiveness and reaffirmation of love. It says, rather than visiting the Corinthians a second time, Paul, after returning to Ephesus, sent what became known as the Severe Letter. So this is in Second Corinthians. It says, this is the very thing I wrote to you, so that when I came, I will not have sorrow from those who ought to make me rejoice. In Second Corinthians 7:8, for though I caused you sorrow by my letter, I do not regret it. And Second Corinthians 7:12, it says, so although I wrote to you, it was not for the sake of the offender, not for the sake of the one offended, but for that you earnestness on our behalf might be made known to you in the sight of God. And then we are going to focus on Second Corinthians 7 5 through 13. And we're going to answer the question, what was the result of what he wrote to them, and what Paul's reaction because of the result? It says, it's very long passage, for even when we came into Macedonia, our flesh had no rest. But we were afflicted on every side, conflict without fears within. But God, who comforts the depressed, comforted us by the coming of Titus, and not only by his coming, but also by the comfort with which he was comforted in you, as he reported to us your longing, your mourning, your zeal for me, so that I rejoice even more. For though I caused you sorrow by my letter, I do not regret it. Though I did regret it, for I see that the letter caused you sorrow, though only for a while. I now rejoice that you were made sorrowful, but you were made sorrowful to the point of repentance. For you were made sorrowful according to the will of God, so that you might not suffer loss in anything through us. For the sorrow that is according to the will of God produces a repentance without regret, leading to salvation, but the sorrow of the world produces death. For behold, what earnestness this very thing, this godly sorrow, has produced in you, that vindication of yourself, what indignation, what fear, what longing, what zeal, what avenging of wrong. In everything you demonstrated yourself to be innocent in the matter. So although I wrote to you, it was not for the sake of the offender, not for the sake of one offended, but that your earnestness on our behalf might be made known to you in the sight of God. For this reason, we have been comforted, and besides our comfort, we rejoice it even much more for the joy of Titus, because his spirit has been refreshed by you all. What was the result of what we wrote to them and what he wrote to them, and what was Paul's reaction because of that result? Paul and Titus met later in Macedonia, where Paul heard from Titus the excellent news that his strong words had caused positive results, which brought much joy to the apostles' hearts. It before some encouraged positioning themselves against Paul. Now the church sided with him. How important it is to support our leaders. As church members, we can make their work much easier than it is. There is one passage that we are going to skip in because of the time. This passage in 2 Corinthians 2 5 through 11 has to do with the cause of church discipline, scholars, debates, whether the offender here is the incestuous man or someone else, a person who influenced others in the church, in their accusation that Paul had been inconsistent and inconsiderate of them in his traveling decisions. The context seemed to favor the second option. In any case, the most important teaching of the passage regards how the church should deal with a person is sin. The passage teaches that the purpose of the church discipline is restoration through forgiveness and through reaffirmation of the love for the sinners. The passage also hints that the church discipline may be painful, but it is necessary. That is, however, well intentioned they may be in wanting to be grace oriented. Some churches might never confront or deal with blatant or even public sin. On the other hand, others can be very rigid, unforgiving, and harsh. Sin needs to be dealt with, but in love. Thank you, friends and family. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye bye.